Let's talk Black knowledge.
You have the training and the talent to succeed, but do you have the guts to fail?
I love what I do. When you love what you do, you want to be the best at it.
Today is about the power of you. You will change the world.
Calling all knowledge seekers around the world. It's time to build a community of leadership, ideation, and insight to become a successful entrepreneur.
When you see men fall, don't laugh, learn.
This is Let's Talk Black Knowledge with Jasper Balaam, dropping these knowledge bombs.
All right, guys, I'm here with a very special guest, Agenisz Samadhi. Welcome to Let's Talk Black Knowledge.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yep. So let's get right into it. Who is Agenisz?
Oh, man. Agenisz is so much. I am the founder of Bliss Life, spoken word artist, high vibrational life coach, spiritual healer, doula. I'm just a spiritual girl out here living her best life.
Yeah. Speaking of that, we just met. Obviously, we in Medellin, Colombia. For the people that might not know, we met through, Brother Cat. Mm-hmm. He was also on the show. Right. First episode, actually. Right. So, we're going to get into, you just had an event that I attended, Cena and Negro. We're going to get right into that later on. Okay. But I want to, for the people who don't know you specifically, you mentioned the Bliss Life, you do all these different things. So in your own words, who are you besides the titles?
Oh, besides the titles. Yes, because I am definitely much more than that. I am a sacred space in itself for others. I am the example. I am light. I am exemplary energy of what it is to walk in your truth, to be exactly who you are, by design, not living life by default, and on my own terms.
Yeah, let's back up for a second. You said you are the founder of Bliss Life. That's such a powerful name. So what inspired you to create this movement?
The movement came out of me just living my life, honestly. Being very young, knowing about manifestation and visualization before it was termed or coined or had a name, I was thinking of how I wanted my life to be and then creating that and being amazed every time I walked into my answered prayers. Yeah. And so after it became tried and true of doing it so many times, I was like, man, my life is blissful, right? This is what it is. And so the Bliss Life became like a movement. It became my truth. It became my tagline of life.
Yeah. Similar to me, that's the reason why we created Let's Talk Black Knowledge. So we both, people like us can share our stories and stuff. Like we said before, we met through a group, a Black community group here at a Black smoothie shop.
A Black-owned business, yes.
So what does community and collaboration mean to you on your journey?
Man, well, being here in Colombia is everything, right? I would say that my circle, my tribe here is a collective of entrepreneurs. It's a collective of business owners. It's a collective of movers and shakers that are here in Medellin. And we really are leading a whole new paradigm here. And that's my tribe, right? We're very intentional. We are each other's lifelines. We're very supportive of one another. And I've lived in all the major cities, right? New York, Atlanta, Miami. Did not happen there. Yeah. We weren't engaged with one another in those places. Life is too fast.
Same here.
Yeah. And so here, if I don't want to eat alone, I don't have to. Thanks. I can call you, I can call Kat, and it's like, let's go break bread. I need to think something through. Let's go have a cup of coffee. And I love that interaction. And so here, like nothing I've ever seen for myself, we are supporting each other. We are loving each other. We are holding space for one another. And I'm very happy to be a part of that.
Yeah, because when I first started Black Knowledge, I actually got more love and support after I left the country than I did in the United States. Yes. So let's talk about that for a second. Bliss Life, what's the difference when you was in the United States compared to when you went global with your movement?
Man, it's like night and day. Yeah. So I've been bliss lifing, right? For 20 some odd years, 20 years. It was divine deliverance at first, right? And then that morphed into and was rebirthed and rebranded as Bliss Life, right? And so you never can depend on, friends and family necessarily to be your number one supporters. It's always people outside of your own current circle. And even in your own city, you have to move outside of that sometimes for people to truly appreciate you. And so for me, I had to remove myself from the conscious community and make myself more exclusive, really, in order to gain my value, to increase my value. And in doing so, like, the trajectory of where I have gone has been tremendous. But what I will say is that I have been able to cover more ground, do more content, touch more lives since I've been in Colombia than all of those years previously. And it's because of community and access and affordability, right? Yep. I can afford. And this is what I told someone the other day. I feel like I sat on the sidelines for years, not just because I was mothering and parenting, but because I couldn't afford to really actualize on my thoughts. I may have a vision and a thought, but it's going to cost me to bring that to life. And so what people are seeing right now that they're catching on to, my momentum, is that you are seeing me be very intentional with everything that I do. And I have a team that is supporting me, pushing me, believes in me, and I can afford to bring my thoughts into actualization.
Yeah, that's one reason why, we built this podcast, Let's Talk Black Knowledge, so we can interview people like you, to watch you, blossom into the flower that you already are. Like you said, even with me, I didn't think I can go global with it. I was in Houston just handing out shirts at Walmart. And then I met a guy, God bless the dead, Brother Charles Tyler in Brazil. I was doing at the time Black Knowledge. We was going to do like Black Knowledge New York, Black Knowledge Philly. And I met him. He was in Philly, but he was in Brazil. And I said, hey, man, when you come back from Philly, I would love to interview you. He said, you want to interview? You got to come interview me in Brazil.
Okay.
Go global with it. Black Knowledge is global. And that's when I was like, you know what? Why not make it global? And I actually blew up. And before we got over 1.3 million followers, I was getting like 1,000 a day when I went to Brazil. My life changed when I went global with my company. So I feel you on that. So let's back up, because obviously, you're a spiritual healer. I've even watched your interviews on YouTube, where you've mentored people saying she's my mentor, she's my spiritual sister. So speaking of that, where did your spiritual journey and cultural journey begin, and what was that defining moment on your path? Because obviously you ain't always been blissful. Right? It ain't always, been that. So where did that start? Like, what motivated or inspired you to do that?
Honestly, I call it point of impact. Right? What was my point of impact? And mine came very young. So for some people, they are on a journey to find their purpose. I'm blessed that I've known my purpose from very young. My family used to say at 3 years old, I was holding family meetings. So mine came from roots and culture, right? It's inherited through family. My family has Taino and Native American and East Indian blood, but I have my grandmother was a healer and a poet. And I am like reincarnated from her. So I was on my spiritual path very young. A lot of the women in my family are intuitive. I was doing tarot cards very young, Miss Cleo, the psychic line, I blew up my mother's phone bill with that very young. And then I was very radical, Malcolm X, the Nation of Gods and Earth. So I have been obtaining and sponging up wisdom my whole life. But my path really started when I was 21 and I obtained knowledge of self. And I was very integral to my path. Instead of going out and, going partying, I was buying crystals and books and studying documentaries. And so it morphed into who I am. And I say for a lot of people, we're in this social media culture and everyone's a guru because you study something on, YouTube and you have popcorn professors. I learned for years and marinated and sat with the information and tried it out and was ostracized from my family and was the black sheep. And I went through all of that ridicule and adversity, but like a diamond, you have to go through the rough, right? And so I molded myself into who I am. I was very intentional with how I spoke and my language from being a poet, and I studied words and the power of words. And so this is who I've been my whole life. Nice. Really, it is, even being in the streets, I was the philosopher. I was the psychologist to my friends who were going to jail. So I've always kind of been the leader of the pack.
Yeah. So since we both, for the people that might not know, we both are in South America, Colombia now.
Colombia.
We international with it.
Right.
And so I like to ask this question, especially to our women guests in general. As a Black entrepreneur, a Black woman entrepreneur specifically, what has it been like, building your brand rooted in, mindfulness and creativity? Because you do events, you do a lot. I actually went to one. We're going to talk about that later. But even since I met you, we'll get into the book later. You just like me. You're very mindful and creative. So how has that been, specifically a Black woman entrepreneurs overseas? How's that experience for you?
Kind of similar to what you just said, right? You went to Brazil, you became global and blew up. I'm kind of in that phase, I'm new blood here, and my concepts, my visions, my goals are very received here. People believe in me. They've bought into the vision and they want to be a part of it. They want to be a part of the movement. They're very helpful. How can I help you scale? How can I help you do this? This is what I do. How can I contribute and add on? And so I've been getting so many followers and DMs and messages. I can't control them. Like I'm overwhelmed and I can't respond to all of them. And I tried to respond to each individual one. And I was like, wait a minute, this is crazy. Like I need help. I need a team.
Welcome to my world.
Yeah, but it's beautiful. Like I love it because it's not for clickbait. It's not low vibrational information that I'm giving out, low frequency. It is high vibrational.
Sincere.
It's sincere. It's genuine. It is truly me giving a part of who I am to other people, and out of my own desire and need, sharing it with other people, and people are receptive to it. And when I first got here, some of the naysayers was like, oh, nobody wants that. No one, and had I listened, man, I would have been so disappointed. And so many other people wouldn't have had the experiences that they've been exposed to. And I said, well, when one person said no, 80,000 said yes.
Yep.
They do want it. And so now I'm getting calls from South Africa. People want me to do things there. Yes, they want me to take what I'm doing there. So I'll be going to Dubai, Turkey, South Africa over the next few months to continue, the work that I'm doing. So listen, people, move around, tap into other markets, other spaces. It's a global economy now. Facts. It is not just local.
Yep. Especially with Black Knowledge, we have our app. She's going to be on the Let's Talk Black Knowledge app. I'm pretty sure she's going to have a spiritual group on the app herself. So I agree with you 100%. Like even when I built Black Knowledge, I didn't ever think I was going to go global with it. Even this, like we got an international podcast overseas. That was not, I didn't envision that it happened. And like you said, that support, I supported you out the gate. I came to your event before you came to the podcast. Yes. She ain't even been in my shop yet, y'all. She ain't been in my shop yet. But that's what it's all about. So I do want to ask this question because I'm actually curious about this one. How do you see spirituality and culture blending together in your work specifically? Because I've seen some different interviews of you, and I think it worked well. I just don't know how. Right. But the people might not know how. So
it's a conglomerate, right? So there's Bliss Life. Bliss Life is spiritual luxury, right? Understanding that you don't have to be a poor righteous teacher. You don't have to sell incense and soap and dirty sneakers. I've said this for 20 years in order to be spiritual or in order to be on a higher vibration, right? And
sage and all that.
Like all of those things are important and they're tools and they're resources, but you can have everything. My mantra when I wake up is I am getting everything I want. Right. And so that blend of spirituality and business and entrepreneurship is that we have to have healthy ego in order to step out to do what it is that we do. We have to have a level of self-love in order to go through the pains of being an entrepreneur. We have to have sacred space and someone holding space for us in order for us to really continue on the journey, move through. We all have bad days. Like one of the things that I can say here is we all call each other when we're going through something like, hey, this is what I'm going through. How can I do this? And I love to help be a solutionist for my tribe. Right. And so spirituality, entrepreneurship, curating spaces for people, it all intersects because just like the other night at the event, yes, it was a dinner mixer, a social mixer, but we took a moment to breathe. We took a moment to be intentional. We took a moment to tear down the wall of what your expectations are and just be.
And it definitely was something I definitely haven't experienced before. Like you said, I came in with these expectations. Like I told you there at the event, it's way different than what I thought it was. But you also said out the gate, break down your expectations for what tonight is going to be. Speaking of that, you know, what role, like, especially for us in the Black community, like you say, we need each other, especially overseas. We have to have a certain level of confidence in each other and things of that nature, including me. I had to learn how to love myself enough to be able to create my brand, Black Knowledge, to even get to this point where I can be vulnerable on the microphone and have this intimate conversation with you. So speaking of that, when it comes to our culture, how important is healing and reconnecting to who we really are? Because I know that's all you. I know that's you all day.
Yeah, it's everything. It's everything, because you have to uncondition yourself. You have to press stop on the program that you're playing, Control Alt Delete, and start over, right? You really have to clean the canvas of who you thought you were and who people had expectations of you to show up for you to step into your true self. Right. And so when we talk about spirituality and community and all of these things, who are you in the tribe? What is your contribution to the tribe? Right. Remove the doctor, the lawyer, like you told me in the beginning, remove the titles. What are your strengths? What are your qualities? And what is your contribution to the tribe? That is the basis of Bliss Life, helping you get to who are you? Who is the truth of who you are? Okay. And if you don't know, let's figure that out. Now, who do you want to be? Let's give you the tools and the resources and the support in order to go there.
That's what I did with Black Knowledge, to be able to create an intellectual space where I can educate our people about who we are, where we come from, and what we can be, including myself. Like I held myself to the higher standard because I like to drop knowledge. I like to talk all day. I like to drop knowledge. I like to educate. And I like to teach. So why not build a brand around that? Exactly. Call it Black Knowledge because I'm Black too. Why not? Right. So that's why I did that. So I want to know more about Bliss Life. So you said it's kind of been your life journey, your story. You know, you kind of always knew who you were, but I just want to know, because, you know, we have sisters that's probably dealing with this too. They want to take their idea like yours and probably make it like how you going to Dubai, you going to Turkey, you literally making it a global experience.
Absolutely.
So how did it go from an idea, I want to help my people grow, I want to do these events, I want to do this. We'll get into the book later. She got a book coming out, y'all. But how do we go from idea to global experience?
Discipline.
Oh, yeah.
It's discipline. It's discipline. It's being intentional. Again, I can't say that word enough. It is, you know how you go to the gym and you work out that muscle? It's leg day. You work it out, you work it out, you work it out. You continuously put energy and attention and time to that thing. So when I wake up every day, it's Bliss Life. Like I'm always thinking about how today my mantra was, I want to scale, globalize, and make it Bliss Life more powerful. How do I do that? So that is like my check balance, my mental tattoo that I'm putting on myself of what is it that I want to do? And for people who work 9 to 5s, you know, and you're not necessarily working your plan just yet, I always tell people to adopt the idea, which I did, is that I don't work for anyone. I don't have an employer. I don't have a job. That is my investor. So that changes your perception about what it is that you're doing every day. They are investing into whatever it is that I'm wanting to do. You're taking that money to invest in yourself, your entrepreneurship, your business, into Bliss Life, right? And so travel was a part of that. I intentionally traveled. I want to go to Afro areas, Afro-Latin, Afro-Caribbean. I want to show people where our people are and that you can have these experiences anywhere, right? And so I was very disciplined about what it was that I was doing, and I'm very disciplined now. So how you get to manifesting your ideas and visualizing is when you work out, you're constantly doing something, right? It's a repetitive motion. You have to live it, breathe it, you know, stand behind it, believe in it in order to make it manifest. It can't just be a lofty thought. You have to get behind it. You have to invest in it. Even if it's a little bit, go get your LLC, come up with your name step by step, do whatever it is you have to do. You know, don't let people sway you from who you are and what you want to do. You have to believe in you more than anything else. Right. You have to want the victory more than the temptation, you know? And so that's really it. It's really simple. It's discipline.
I always say, like, back to what you said about the 9 to 5. I always say, you know, when you get out that 9 to 5, you got to go to your 5 to 9.
That's right.
And that's what I do. Because like you said, I always say I drop knowledge bombs. because I'm a knowledgeable brother, and that's what I do. I drop knowledge bombs on a daily basis. I make Black excellence go viral. I kept that mentality until I did it. Like you said, now I make, this is going to go viral. I make it all, I go viral, you go viral. I make Kelly Rowland go viral. I make everybody, if you're Black and beautiful, we go viral now. Because like you said, consistency, and I always tell my clients that is the key, consistency, even building out your team. Because a lot of people, let's talk about that for a second. A lot of us, because you mentioned it earlier, a lot of us, including myself, I always felt like I had to do everything by myself.
That was me.
And you know, obviously I got videographers. I got people, even when I started doing my poetry, my music, I had people make music for me. I had somebody who mixed and mastered the music. I didn't do it. I'm just an artist. I'm not the producer. I'm not the rapper. So let's talk about that when building Bliss Life and your team. How was that experience, or how do you get to that point?
Well, I had to, because I was the same way. I thought I had to do everything and wear every hat. I'm a Virgo, right? I'm a rising Virgo, sun Virgo, Gemini moon. So I'm very analytical. I'm very articulate with my words. I am a perfectionist. And so I felt like no one can do it better than me, right? No one can know my brand or what it is that I'm trying to do better than me. And the time that I'm taking to correct you, change, whatever, I might as well just do it myself. But after years of that, and not gaining traction, not really moving forward, I said, wait a minute. I just want to be the artist. I just want to do what it is that I love and share the wealth, right? And let people who are good at what they do that, and let me do what it is that I do. And so finding the right videographer, finding the right assistant, finding the right co-host, finding the right people who they're great at what they do. They want to scale their business. Hey, let's do this together. We can move together as a team. And if we're all, you know, putting out great content and whatever it is that we're doing, we're putting our heart into it. And I'm taking you with me. So whoever does work with me, they can tell you, I'm generous. I pay you on time. I pay you well. I keep my word. You know what I mean? And so I feel like, and I learned this from BMF. You know, BMF, like the story that the 50 Cent has on, you know, the show. Coming from living in Atlanta, there was BMF billboards, you know, on I-75 when I was younger. And it's probably a bad analogy, but he was a drug dealer, right? But how he kept his soldiers loyal is because he spread the money. He spread the wealth. And it's not just I'm in a BMW with, you know, a fur coat. We all have one. We all have a house. I made sure we all eat. So with my team, I make sure we all eat. We're all good. And so that keeps them motivated. That keeps them inspired. That keeps them loyal.
Well, you curated everything. Like you said, you deliver babies, you write books. You know, you do these gathering and do these different exhibits and single mixers. So how do you think your events help people heal and connect?
I think that it allows them to step out of, you know, their comfort zones. It puts them in spaces that they weren't expecting, that maybe they're not accustomed to, especially here in Medellin. There's not a lot of grown, sexy, elegant, not party vibe, just good energy spaces. And so I wanted to curate that. And that's really the main feedback that I get is, oh, this is so different. You know, I don't have to be this or that. I can just really just be here and experience. And so curating something different. I don't want to mimic what someone else is doing. I don't want to give the same old kind of experience. I want people to really walk away like, wow. You know, I want them to be changed by their experiences or by who they met or a conversation that they had or being able to feel comfortable to be themselves or to share deep thoughts. I want to create curated, safe, sacred experiences for people.
Speaking of that, you said you describe Bliss Life as a sacred space for people to explore themselves. What does that look like in practice, really?
So in practice is, you know, like in my intake sessions, who are you? What have you been through? What are your experiences? What is your truth that you don't often get to say? And from that, we start to pull back the layers, right? You are not who you are not what your experiences have been. You are not what has been done to you. You are not what someone told you. Who are you right now? Who do you want to be? What do you want your life to look like? That is why we talk about living life by design and not default, right? It's not about walking out into the world and it's raining and, oh my goodness, I didn't bring the umbrella. No, let's do a mental check of what we need in our backpack to move through the world, right? Who do you really want to be? Regardless of any expectations, any thoughts, any rhetoric that is poured into you. Who are you? What do you want for yourself? And so once people start pulling back those layers, it gets very emotional, of course, at first, whether it's childhood trauma, a lack or a void, right? A lack of emotional intelligence, a lack of comfort, a lack of touch. It could be all kinds of things, an array of things. It could have been abuse. It could have been molestation. Not that that is everyone's story, but everyone has something.
Well, that's all I was going to get, because I was going to get into that, because like you say, a lot of people, don't think like that. Some of them have negative mentality. They come in negative already. They got unhealed trauma.
Yeah, they're walking with their toxicity.
Or they already feel like, oh, I'll go to her event, but I don't think it's gonna be people I like there. So how do people overcome that? That's just full of, I don't want to say full of hate, but full of, like you said, toxicity, or full of negative energy, because they've been wrong for so long that they got trust issues.
Right.
So let's say hypothetically, I got those trust issues. I got those problems. Here you are with this blissful light event about connecting and growing. I don't want to connect with nobody. I ain't trying to grow. So how do you?
But you know what? You may say that verbally, but your spirit wants to connect because you showed up.
Facts.
Okay. So I don't deal with the physical vessel. I deal with the spiritual, right? So I have already moved into your space and impacted you without you even knowing. So I do a prayer and an invocation over the event before you arrive. I set the intention. People may not catch it, but I set the intention at the beginning of the event. So I dispel quickly. I dissipate that energy, right? Because I know that you're showing up, you're wanting something. A lot of people will just sit and they're quiet and they don't really interact, and I'll come touch you. I'll rub your back. I'll rub your shoulder. I connect in little small ways. I sprinkle my my fairy dust, you know what I mean? And so then it's like people wake up and they tap in and they get involved, and you don't even realize what's happening. Right. So that's why I say that there's intention behind it without you knowing what you're doing. And so a lot of times people just need to be woken up. They need to be tapped into. They need to hear a word. They need to touch. Remember, I did the exercise with touch and with hugging. That wasn't because you're attracted to that person. It may be they had a bad week. And I know that the endorphins from you touching them are going off.
Sometimes people just need a hug.
They just need a hug.
Literally.
They just need to hear masculine energy or a feminine voice. You know what I mean? And so again, like putting people in spaces and giving them what they need, even when they don't know they need it. Yeah.
So let's get into your book. You have a book coming out called The Bliss Life. So what message do you want readers to walk away with?
So Bliss Life, living life by design, not by default, is really a spiritual roadmap, bringing you back to yourself, right? It is a journey of pulling back the layers, getting to your truth, giving you the tools and the resources to get to, the pot of gold at the end of the line. Because Bliss Life isn't a fantasy. It's not a lofty thought. It's not something unattainable. It is a journey. It is a frequency. It is an energy that all you have to do is tap into and adopt it and make it a part of your life. We are all entitled to bliss. We are all entitled to a bliss life. Bliss is the immovable energy. Joy comes and goes. Peace can be moved. But bliss is an immovable energy that once you tap into it, right, you put up boundaries, healthy boundaries to protect you so that things don't move you. You have residual grace built up that you can move through adversity. You have the techniques to breathe a certain way. You know when to sit and go inside. You know when to meditate. You know that the morning is your own portal and you can choose how your day is going to go. You are not at the effect of life. You are choosing to create your life. And so we all have that. We all have that access to it. You just have to want to choose to experience it.
It sounds like the book is definitely going to be beneficial to people who may feel lost or want access to the things that you mentioned, but don't know how to do it. So when you was writing this book, was it hard for you or was it easy? Like, because it seems like, what you're talking about, you have to show a certain level of vulnerability to be able to say, here's a spiritual blueprint.
Right.
You got to share your experiences that you've been through spiritually.
Right.
So whenever the reader open up the book, they can say, oh, she understands.
I can identify.
Yeah. So how was that writing? How was that writing?
There was tears. Oh. The first chapter, the tears rolled. At first it was, I can't believe I'm writing this book. And then it was, oh my God, I'm writing a book. Like I can do this. And the words poured out much easier than I thought that they would. I've been wanting to do it for some time, and this is not the only one. So I held back. I didn't give everything. But as I started to tell the story of how I came into Bliss Life and how this journey of mine took place, I had to tell the story of my childhood. I had to tell the story of my father and his death when I was very young. I had to tell the story of me being on my own since I was 17. I had to tell the story of being pretty much a single parent and raising twins and what that looked like. And so I don't call it, I am not a victim. I did not live my life from my pain. I lived my life from my joy and from what I wanted my life to look like. You know what I mean? And I just kept going. And once it kicked in, no one's coming to save you.
No, facts.
It was just an upward mobility trajectory, you know? And because I had 2 children in tow, I didn't have time to be like, oh, woe is me. Yeah. I had to keep my foot on the gas.
Even if you wanted to.
I couldn't, you know, we had a conversation earlier. I couldn't be the damsel in distress. I didn't choose to be independent. I had to become who I am to do what I needed to do. And because I am not the type of person that was willing to live a mediocre life. It was not an option. I wanted an exceptional life for me and my children. And so I did what had to be done in order to obtain that. And so as those stories came out, it was emotional, you know, and being where I am now, this new phase of life, living abroad, living in another country. My mother is older, going through dementia. You know, now we're at that age where we're starting our life, but then they're almost at the end of theirs, and the children, like it's so many different things going on. But still choosing me, still choosing me at the end of the day, you know, and even with my children, I brought them into the world, but we all have our own individual journeys. And for me, the most important is ascension. Everything I am doing is to build my light body, is to build my aura. That's why I don't have to announce myself. You feel my energy, you know, when I'm in your presence. And so working on that and making sure that at the end of my life, I am happy. And, you know, the words that are written about me are powerful and they are true to who I am. I am always consciously working on that and living in that light. And so being that example for my family and my children and all of that coming out into the book was very emotional. But it was more important because we've lost so many people recently and because life is the way it is, to tell my story, to give people the blueprint now, to tell them stop tapping into the toxicity, because I'm in my bliss bubble. Life is great over here. Like I know there's so much negativity going on, but you do not have to subscribe to that. I don't subscribe to it. So let me give you the tools so you don't have to subscribe to it either.
Speaking of that, from your perspective, what is the first step for someone who wants to start healing from within?
Have a truthful conversation with yourself.
Thanks.
Get in the mirror, do the mirror work. Like, who are you?
I said that when I built Black Knowledge, I was like, man, I'm going to drop knowledge worldwide. Like I told my boy when I built it, he's like, what is Black Knowledge? I'm like, I don't know, bruh, but some telling me I need to liberate African minds on a global scale. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it. And I agree with you 100%. Let's go a little bit deeper on that about having a deep, realistic conversation with yourself, even though it might hurt because you might not even believe. Like even me, when I built Black Knowledge, I had the motivation, I had the inspiration, but I was scared as hell.
Yeah, I'm scared too every day.
And I didn't think I would do it.
Yeah, you have imposter syndrome, right? You have, my thing was, I don't want to be inauthentic. I don't want to be a hypocrite. I don't want anyone to call my card. And I don't necessarily have to worry about that because I am who I am. And when you're intimate and you get to know me, you know Agenisz is who she is, right? But are you qualified? You know, do you have the credentials? Do you have, you know, they just talked about Tokyo or China now. They're not letting influencers speak unless you're credentialed or qualified. I do that self-check with myself. Are you qualified, Agenisz? Do you have the credentials, you know, to speak into other people's lives? Because for me, a lot of people cannot speak into my life. Right? If I don't trust you, respect you, revere you, feel like you're showing up for yourself in your own life, you can't speak into my life.
Yeah.
You cannot.
It's like being around, you know, like you said, finding your tribe or your circle, or being around, you know, intellectual beings. That's why you're here on the Let's Talk. I'm not just interviewing random people, because we already got randomness on the internet.
Exactly.
And that's another reason why I'm actually pursuing my master's degree in business, because I'm doing business, but let me get the credentials too, so I can show. It's not even so much. Stop me. Yeah, I'm not trying to like showboat to say, look, I got an MBA like everybody else, but I do want to have it, so you can say, okay, he does own a business. He does have a business degree.
He took the time.
Exactly. Yeah. So, you work with a lot of women through your coaching and through your events. So for the women that might be watching this in general, this is for the women specifically, what are some of the biggest wounds or blockage you see from women healing?
Lack of self-confidence. Like not having the confidence to move into the world by your own belief in yourself. Like a lot of women currently are influenced by what they see, what they think they're supposed to look like, how they think that they're supposed to act. No. Let's get to the truth of who you are, what you want, what is resonating within you, what is your truth. And, you know, we spoke about earlier, a lot of women identify as being feminine, but they are not feminine, right? They're female, but not feminine. And so that's like an epidemic right now.
Well, I think that started with, let's talk about the government, because I even actually wrote, you know, I did an Unwritten Truth series about this, how the government created the strong, independent Black woman with the
70s and Vietnam.
With the models and the suits, and you don't need a man. And, you know, obviously they got Section 8. You can get these benefits of a man not in the house.
Not in the home,
So it's not just, you know, their fault. No. We got other hands involved.
No, it's not. But it is also our responsibility to recognize that was an error, that was not our truth, that we love our men, we love our Black men, we love our families, and we want them back by any means necessary. Right? That's where I'm at, is that this is about Bliss Life by any means necessary, meaning getting back everything that you deserve. Getting back your rights, your right to live, your right to truth, your right to femininity, your right to familyhood, your right to relationships, and your right to be loved. We are here to love and to be loved. That is it. Everything else comes from that.
Well, you know, I can't really speak on it because obviously I'm not a woman, so I'm gonna let you do it. So how do you help women reconnect with their power while embracing that soft grace and feminine energy that you're talking about? Because a lot of them, you know, like, we all heard this story. You know, we from the South. I'm from South Georgia. I've heard even people, my own family, say this: you don't need a man. You don't need this. You don't need that. Some of our sisters are taught this way.
And that is absolutely an error.
Or you don't need this, or you don't need that. You gotta, you know, when a man not around, you're gonna have to do this by yourself. Like, how do you help them find that softness and that grace? Because some of them are just so tough. I don't even came across some sisters. It was like, man, you're beautiful on the outside, but just really strong and tough. I don't know if you know how to be weak, even if you think weakness is a flaw or a problem.
I would interchange the word weak with being vulnerable or feeling safe and relaxed and calm, right? It's not necessarily a weakness, because there's a lot of strength in being vulnerable. There's a lot of strength in allowing someone else to lead, right? So like in dancing, in salsa and bachata, there has to be a leader and a follower. You have to like let your walls down in order to let that person lead. But in order to do that, you have to feel safe. You have to have some level of confidence. You have to be upright in who you are. And so it's not necessarily the women's fault. It's the culture, right? It is what has been done to us. And so having, again, to unlearn, to unprogram, you know, a lot of people think that your family and your aunts and all of those generations of people were right. It wasn't that they were right. It's that they were surviving. It was what they had to do. People eat chitlins and pork and green. Listen, that is not soul food.
That food is what I call it.
That is what was given to you, that you spiced up and made taste good. And so you continued that, right? But it is not that is good for you. No. That is not healthy. That is not the accurate choice if you have another option. So it's about giving people another option, right? It is giving people an option to be independent. So I raised my children to be independent, right? Caribbean children are brought up early to be able to rely on themselves quickly so that they can fend for themselves. If something happens to me, you're okay. You know, we don't believe in necessarily you going to spend the night at somebody else's house. Let me make sure I create a safe space for you to be here, and you know how to take care of yourself, so I don't have to subject you to someone else's household.
So you would say your Caribbean roots obviously influence who you are today.
Yeah, very 100%. Much so. Yeah. And how I live my life, how I've raised my children. You know, we take our shoes off at the door. We, you know, listen to Bears Hammond as we cook on Sundays. You know, like you watch the parents dance in the kitchen. You know, just that energy of love and happiness in life, but more so the independency of giving you the tools to be able to survive in this world and take care of yourself. So with that, you know, when we talk about women being independent in what they were taught, you can be independent, but still be in a relationship with a man and be feminine and be soft, right? But for me, like I said, raising my children on my own, for the most part, I could have went the route of being independent and more masculine and hardened, but I chose not to. I chose to maintain my femininity. You know, I chose to keep flowers in the house and wear long gowns and put the candle on and music and love on myself and go take care of myself weekly. You know, like I made it important to maintain my femininity for myself and for my children. I knew how to love on them and be a mother, but also to be stern and keep them in line. And so I think that in doing so, my children are very masculine. They're not confused about who they are because I was able to maintain those lines. But regardless if you are a doctor, a lawyer, an astronaut, a teacher, the two hardest things you will ever be is a parent and a partner. And those are the two things that we do not educate in. Young. You don't have home ec anymore. You don't have carpentry anymore. You don't have those classes. You know, that was one of the things that I really loved about the Nation of Islam, right? They still teach home ec. They still teach the rules and the roles of who we are and what your natural responsibilities are. And so that has been lost upon us. And so it's not that I am here to change the masses, but I am here to be an advocate and a vessel and a light and a resource to help kind of get back some of the virtues and attributes that I think make us more wholesome.
Well, speaking of that, Agenisz, a mom, a businesswoman, how do you stay grounded while leading other people?
That's a good question. That's a good question. I think that I give myself grace. I'm slow paced with myself. I keep in front of me, you know, my why. Why am I doing this? Because there's days that I'm like, let me just be regular. And let me lay back and do nothing or just watch Netflix or, you know, not be as ambitious. But I can't do that. I can't do that. That's not my comfort zone. My comfort zone is to give, is to teach, is to assist. And if I'm not, I don't feel like I'm being productive. And so taking care of myself, right? And that means moving at a slower pace in the mornings, setting my intention, you know, speaking to myself, doing my rituals. You know, it is not lost upon me to give back, to speak to the ancestors, to do my spiritual due diligence, right? And have that connection, to give back, to help. And so I think that's
others ground you.
It does.
Basically.
I'm healed as I'm healing.
Yeah. Like I think Andre 3000 said, you know, if he not creating nothing, you know, he ain't feel like he doing that right.
Yeah, for me,
in life.
For sure.
Same thing for me. Like if I'm not, I drop knowledge every day. I wake up every day wanting to make people say, oh, I didn't know that. Oh, wow, we do this. Or wow, we done that. Or teach them something that even my business partner, he tell me he learns a lot from what I post. That I didn't know this exists. I didn't know that. I didn't either. So that's why I share it with other people. Yeah. So speaking of that, because you say, you know, obviously in the book, you say there's always, you know, you live life by design, not by default. What does that mean exactly? Live life by design.
Living life by design is going for what it is that you want. Who am I? And choosing, okay, this is who I am. This is what I want. What are the tools? What are the resources? What do I need in order to obtain this and to go down this path, right? And again, wanting that more than you want anything else, right? So if you are always at the effect of life, if something negative is always happening to you, if you feel like you don't have control, if you feel like, why are people over there having that life and they're having a great time and they're experiencing what they want and I'm not, let's stop that right there. Because you can experience it too, but you have to know what you want, what you're wanting to experience. What are your strengths? You know, what, and also identify and be accountable for what your weaknesses are so you can grow and work from that. You know, that is where astrology becomes a blueprint, understanding who you are, you know, what your nature is. And then you have to master self. If you don't master self, how are you out here moving into the world trying to master this or tap into that, or, you know, not be in control of your own emotions and how you interact into the world? You have to kind of fill those voids with truth and with knowledge and with health and wisdom before you can move out into the world as a whole being. So living life by design is getting into alignment with your whole self. And by doing that, you are not then at the effect of life. You are not at the default of life. You are more so taking life by the horns and choosing what it is that you're going to experience. Because you don't have to just stay in middle America, you know, the south of the states, work a job, 9 to 5, go to school. That whole notion of what the white picket fence and what we were told is the dream has been dissipated. That is not what the dream is for everyone, right? For me, I knew that I wanted to live abroad in 2012. So all of my steps and travels have been intentional about, because that is what I wanted. So I've been looking for, what do I need? What do I want? Where am I going to go? How can I best assimilate into, and that is why I'm in Colombia, because I was able to assimilate easily. It was very easy and adaptable for me. I wanted Afro, I wanted Latina, I wanted reggae, I wanted bachata, I wanted salsa, I wanted certain foods. For me, I wanted quality of life. And so I sat down and wrote out, what is it that I want for my life? What do I want for my children and my children's children when they come? And before they get here, I need to plant myself where it is that I want to be, so that everything that grows from that comes from intentional fruit. Yeah.
That's why I mentor, you know, we both mentor people, and that's what I do, because most of my mentees, after a while, most of them actually are women. You know, I do have a few brothers here and there, but most of the women always tell me, oh, you're like accountability partner to me. Because that's what I do anyways. Like I do the similar things that you say. I try to show them their strengths, show them their weaknesses. I've crushed dreams because their ideas didn't align with who they were anyways. Like I had one of my clients, no lie, true story. Hopefully she don't get mad at me for telling this story. True story. When I met her before COVID, she said, oh, I want to flip lamps off of Amazon. Like she wanted to do like flipping these antique things on the internet because she saw somebody on YouTube do it. I'm like, no, you know what? Forget all that.
Let's have a more authentic
Who
thought.
are you? Like, I'm like, who are you and what do you like? Come to find out, she has 2 children that are special needs.
Okay.
Got to know her a little bit. And then I said, okay, well, what are some of the issues that they have that you wish you could solve? She was telling me this. She said, I wish that my special needs children had books that identified with them and things that can help them learn and grow, because the special need program has this certain way of teaching. And I said, well, okay.
Create the lane.
Sound like you found your niche. What can you do and everything? So she kept saying, I'm tired, you know, I don't want, Goldilocks and the 3 Bears and all that. So she built one called Akila and her 3 brothers, where Akila goes into the room and takes things out of her brother's rooms while they're at school. And she explains how that's wrong because she actually had one of her special needs children always taking from the other one. So she wanted to teach them through a book on why that's not bad. And she ended up writing 3 books.
Wow.
3 books. And not only that, she even start talking to the elementary schools to even get her book in the special needs. And I'm like, look, you see how we went from vintage light lamps that don't matter?
Right.
We never even made a website.
What is your contribution to the tribe?
You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So that right there, I think that, I helped her figure out what her design was. So let's get into it, because, I've been to your event, one of them. I know you had Dinner in Red. I went to the one called Cena and Negro. But to me, to be honest with you, I'm going to just be real on Let's Talk Black Knowledge. It was more than just a dinner. It was a vibe. Like, dead ass. Like, just being real. It was a vibe. So when you make these high vibrational events, what does these type of events represent you? How? Like, 'cause that was powerful. Like, how do you get to where you get at? Because that was really powerful at that event. And then to see you host it, to see you going around, how do you get to that? Like, break it down. Like,
honestly, that came out of a desire of my own, a need of my own, right? And so wanting partnership, wanting alignment, wanting it all, right? Creating for other people, like what she did with the book. She had a need. So I'm sure other people have that same need. So let me create a solution. Let me create a platform. Let me create a space for people to get what it is that they want. Right. And so in doing that, it was birthed out of that. It was birthed out of a desire, but also wanting it to be more than just a mixer, more than just something that people come experience and walk away with. I want them to have takeaways from it. A genuine connection, a genuine good time. Being exposed to something completely different than what you've been exposed to before.
It definitely was for me.
Yeah. And so for me, again, just sprinkling my energy on it, my intention, my magic, before every event, especially that one, setting protection around myself and asking for, not my desire and want, but for what needed to happen to occur, for that energy to permeate throughout that space. And so like it was your queen's birthday. And so we were able to kind of, be mindful, give her special attention, give her special energy. It was another brother's birthday. One of the women, sent me a message and was like, man, you just keep elevating every time, you do something. It's because I'm like, let me do this. Oh, they want this. Oh, they want more interaction. This time I gave all the men gifts. I want them to be included and to feel needed and to feel seen. I want people to feel seen. And I think that especially in a time where people are very lonely, even though there's a lot of noise and things going on, people don't feel connected. They don't have true, meaningful friendships. They just have, interactions with people out of need or desperation.
Well, let's get into that for a second, because I felt, I'm from Georgia, and like you said, you've been in Atlanta, I've been in Atlanta. We actually said this on one of my first podcasts, and I even lived in Houston for a little bit. And I noticed that in general, I was like, especially California, but I've noticed that in the States, not so much here, but it's very transactional. Like people will say, oh, they got my number, let's hit up, let's hang out, let's do this. Oh, we'll do this, we'll do that, we'll do that. And I felt that when I went to California, man, I got so many damn numbers in California, but I ain't not one of them hit me up. I ain't not one of them, none of that. I really feel like the United States is really transactional in the major cities. Because I'm from not gonna lie, I'm from the countryside where, to be honest with you, I actually had a culture shock. Because I'm used to soft, don't get me wrong, soft, genuine, hey there, baby, how you doing, sweetie pie. I'm used to them type of women. Then I met city women. The women that grew up in New York women. The women that grew up in New Orleans women.
Completely different.
Wait, hold on. But I will say that the transactionalness, I'm young, I'm 37, but that's been around for a while. I even said it to my business partner when last time. I just recently went to Atlanta, and I even said, this place is so transactional. I meet people, hand out business cards, but I don't even feel like we connected. I met a brother at Best Buy. Hopefully he don't see this podcast. But I met him, we connected. Shout out to you. Right? We gave each other WhatsApp number. He said he traveled. He said he been to Bogota. He want to check out Medellin. I ain't heard nothing from him.
Right.
I even text him to say, hey man, it was nice connecting with you. No response. That's why I'm like.
So one of the things that I'll say about being here, and we touched on this earlier, I lived in Miami for 4 years.
Okay.
I had 2 friends, maybe 3, like 2 and a possible. Okay. And all the things that I'm doing now, I wanted to do there. And it was like, I couldn't even get it done. People were flaky.
Envious, or?
They didn't follow through. Like I've got this lounge, I've got this, like hit me up, let's do business. And then I set the time, I set the meeting. No show, no call, or you really don't, you're really the middle guy, or
I got you next week.
Yeah, or there's already a clique, there's already people who have been doing this branding for so long and you can't break through that, you may have the ideas, but not. And another thing that really bothered me there is that there's not a lot of ownership by Blacks. There's a lot of ownership by Latinos and other people, but there was not a lot of Black ownership, more so in Broward, not so much in Dade. But it was just like this, we've reached the amount that we're allowing to do anything, and not being able to really push through that. And so here, and people are so far apart, 30, 45-minute drive, can't get to people. They're tired, they're busy. Whereas here, we are not on our phones.
Yep.
We are engaging, we are talking, we are showing up for one another. You know, it is completely different. Like, and you quickly assess and adopt the culture. And this isn't just here. I'm sure that this is in Thailand. This is in South Africa. This is in all the places where you are seeing Black in whatever.
Yep.
Or people who have moved abroad, period. You don't have to be Black to have this experience, but to be an expat and you have learned, like, I feel like I went back in time and in the future at the same time.
I feel you on that. Because I feel like even with my company, I didn't like plateau in the United States. It's just like I expanded once I left the United States and I actually got to see things differently. Speaking of that, I want to get into this question. How do you think that more Black creatives like ourselves in Colombia and abroad can come together and, you know, even create what you built or collect or collaborate? Like, what are some ways, or you think that, like, if somebody want to reach you or connect with you or even build with you, how do they even do that? You abroad now, you in Colombia, I'm in Minnesota. Like, how I want to connect with this sister. How do I, like, so what are some of the ways, or you think that we can do as a people to connect with each other?
I think we are. Like, for instance, I hit up a sister I saw, you know, bringing people together, doing dinners, or, you know, I think they were playing spades or cards, and I just happened to see her in my timeline, and I hit her up like, hey, this is who I am. This is what I'm doing. I'm about to be in your city. I want to work with you. I want to collab with you. I want to make this transition easier. How can we work together? She looked at what I do. Boom. I want to work with you. Like, be active, and also don't come just wanting to take or to infiltrate. You know, collaborate, have something to offer. It's a give and take.
That's why I came to your event first.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you guys, you know, she does different events for the people that might not know. And when I met her at a mutual friend's smoothie shop, a Black brother business, shout out Kat. You know, he was on the first episode. We got to shout out Kat. Secret Hardin, Colombia.
Secret Hardin,
so it's like, I met you there, but then you even told me, oh, I got a book. I got this. I got that. I do this. I got this event. And I actually wanted to show up before I even interviewed you, because I wanted to see, no disrespect when I say this, I want to see if you was full of shit. Because I ain't full of shit at all with Let's Talk Black Knowledge.
Right.
So I wanted to see that first. And I got the experience to see, oh, you know what? This sister is about her business, and she not full of shit, for the people who might not know that. But, you know, and I felt like I can grow and learn from you. And, you know, that's one reason why I invited you on the podcast, because of that. Because I always say that a lot of us, I don't want to, like you said, we got the imposter syndrome, but I done met a lot of people that were full of shit. And even this, like, what I noticed with our tribe in general, and the issue that I have that I'm learning now, is people try to out-intellectualize me a little bit because I have the company Black Knowledge. Right. And just because they watch the Hidden Colors, Dr. Sebi. They want to
test you.
And you know, oh, I know this, I know the Moors, I know about Egypt, I've been here, and it's like, okay, do you got love for what I'm doing? You know, all I hear is hatred. Like, you're trying to challenge me. Like, for example, I don't know if sisters or it happened to you was like, well, I know about these crystals you might not know about because you do this. Right. Or, you talk about incense, but I actually go make them in Mexico. Right. Like, you know, they think they can outbliss you.
I dug up the frankincense.
Right. They can outbliss you because you do it differently than what they do it. So it's like, have you had that? People try to outbliss you or
I've had people try to mimic me, become me, you know, do what I do, and like they walked in my shoes. You can't outbliss like me. You can try. And for me, you know, I'm all those things. I've studied Hinduism, Judaism, Egyptology, the Nation of Gods and Earths, you know, the 5 percenters, if you don't know it by that name. I have gone through all the schools of thought. I've sat in lectures. I've been that person. You know what I mean? But it is not for me to try to dethrone anyone else. It is not for me to think that I know more than anyone else. I think that true wisdom comes from when you are calm and centered in yourself and you have nothing to prove. You are here to, you know, share and exchange in a very peaceful way. And if someone is coming and they have that aggressive, combative, competitive energy, it's not in alignment with me and who I am. You know what I mean? And so you're going to dim, you're going to fade to black anyway.
I got love for you, fam.
Yeah, you're going to fade to black anyway because we're just not on that anymore. We're about love. We're about inclusion. Like we just said, you can't get to where you're trying to go by yourself. And so I'm about attracting like minds and attracting the energy. And so the first conversation we had, it was like, man, I got to go, but I want the conversation to continue. You know what I mean? And it came with ease and we weren't distracted and it was very genuine.
Now you're on the podcast.
And so those people, I don't even allow that energy to permeate with me anymore.
So I know 2025 about to end. We almost at the end. So, but what's next for Bliss Life?
Oh man. So our finale was this past Friday for events for the year. Now I'm gearing up for a new phase. We've got 2026 coming in. I'll be doing more traveling next year. As I mentioned, we've got retreats though coming the end of January, February here in Colombia so that people can have a full blown experience of what life is like for Bliss Life in Colombia. Online classes are more so coming so that people, no matter where you are globally, digitally, you can get, this love and these lessons. And just more of what I'm doing. I want more collaborations, more partnerships, more global experiences is what I'm looking for in 2026.
I mean, I'm pretty sure, for you might not know, but or even the people that's watching, we do got the Black Knowledge Academy on our app. I would love for you to collaborate and build courses on there for the people that's in app that's looking for what services and things that you're offering them.
Absolutely.
So for one final question. Is if someone who's feeling stuck or disconnected or unspiritual or unblissful right now, what message would you leave with them?
The message that I would give you is that you are perfectly designed and you are exactly where it is that you need to be doing what you need to do because you are asking yourself the question of who am I and what do I want? Right. And so getting into the truth of who you are, having those deep, hard conversations with yourself, and then waking up and choosing something different, a different life, a different way, a different path. Tomorrow, when you wake up, it is a new portal. All you have to do is choose.
Well, that was definitely powerful energy, powerful words, Agenisz. Thank you for sharing your light, your story, and your mission with us today. Family, if you guys felt the vibe, make sure you follow her and connect. Speaking of that, how can they follow you and connect with you?
Agenisz Samadhi on all platforms.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. We'll have it posted somewhere on there. But anyways, guys, thank you for sharing your experiences and everything. And remember, knowledge is power, but applied knowledge is power.
That's right.
And freedom. Make sure you guys follow our YouTube channel at Official Black Knowledge. Until next time, thank you for tuning in. Let's talk Black Knowledge.
Live life blissfully.
Family, thank you for tuning in. If you believe in independent Black platforms and real information, subscribe to our YouTube channel right now and share this episode with one person who needs it. Then take the next step. Download the Black Knowledge app on the App Store or Google Play so you're connected directly to the movement. Follow us on Instagram at Official Black Knowledge and on Facebook, Black Knowledge. We'll see you in the next episode. Stay informed, stay empowered.